When a ruthless HOA president and her privileged allies seized my ranch for their opulent summer gala, they violated a boundary no landowner should ever have to defend. They dismissed my legal warnings, fired up bison burger grills in plain sight of my herd's pasture, and even threatened to drive me off my own land. But Storm, my 2,000-pound bull, delivered the final verdict that day. What lines would you hold when everything you've built over 30 years is on the line? My name is Henry Caldwell. 30 years ago, I poured my life savings into 15 acres of pristine wilderness just outside Riverdale County. Back then, it was nothing but sweeping hills, boundless skies, and untouched earth. I built my ranch house with my own hands, perched above a natural spring with water so pure it could shame bottled brands. After 40 years wrangling livestock across the Midwest, I knew exactly what I wanted for my own land. American bison, the nation's emblem, noble beasts that once roamed these plains in millions before we nearly erased them. I began with 3 calves, patiently growing a small conservation herd. Storm, my prize bull, was born here, 2,000 pounds of quiet strength, his deep eyes carrying the soul of the prairies. For nearly 2 decades, life was a dream. I'd greet the sunrise, tend my bison, and revel in the simple joys of ranching. No neighbors, no disputes, just me, my animals, and endless freedom stretching to the horizon. Then developers descended. They scooped up the land next to mine, carving it into whispering meadows, a grid of cookie-cutter mansions squeezed onto postage stamp lots with lofty names like the Harrington and the Ashford. Urban transplants flooded in. People who thought rural life meant a larger backyard while craving city conveniences. They formed an HOA with a rule book denser than my grandfather's heirloom Bible. At first, they fussed among themselves over mailbox heights and approved shutter hues. I ignored them. My land wasn't part of their development, and I'd staked my claim long before their blueprints existed. That changed when Eleanor Harrington arrived from Connecticut, charming her way to HOA president. She exuded East Coast elitism, the kind of woman who'd never touched raw earth but preached land management like a sage. Our first encounter set the stage. Her Mercedes gleamed in my driveway as she stood there in designer jeans and a spotless blouse, a glossy magazine's idea of ranch style no real rancher would wear. "Mr. Caldwell," she cooed, her voice thick with crocodile tears. "We're thrilled to have such quaint charm beside our community. But have you considered how your operation might affect our property values? Our approved landscapers could offer advice." Her gaze swept over my weathered house and worn jacket like I was a museum oddity. I watched her drive away, musing how some folks see land and envision only profit margins. Soon, the letters started. The first whined that my split-rail fence clashed with their community standards. I called the HOA office, clarified my land was beyond their reach, and the secretary, sounding sheepish, vowed to make a note. I thought that settled it. 2 weeks later, another letter arrived, this one bearing Eleanor's signature, raising concerns about agricultural activity near a residential zone, citing an obsolete county ordinance. When they turned their sights on my bison, I decided to attend an HOA meeting, convinced at 62 that honest talk could resolve most feuds. I couldn't have been more mistaken. I stepped into their polished clubhouse, granite counters, stainless steel appliances, wearing my best shirt and jeans. They gawked like I'd brought the barnyard with me. Eleanor stood at a podium, her PowerPoint titled Community Standards Enforcement, displaying a photo of my bison enclosure circled in red, captioned Hazards Adjacent to Our Community. "These animals are dangerous," she declared, flipping to a close-up of Storm. "They belong in a zoo." I rose. "I raise conservation bison on private land outside your authority." Eleanor smirked. "Mr. Caldwell, your ways may have sufficed once, but our community has progressed." After the meeting, Tom Larson, a good man, retired from a Cincinnati factory, living on the development's fringe, pulled me aside. "Henry, they're scheming to push you out. Eleanor's husband golfs with the county commissioner every Sunday. They're probing your zoning. It's wrong." The next day, Someone slid the meeting minutes into my mailbox with chilling sections highlighted: explore nuisance ordinances, investigate watershed regulations, potential eminent domain claim for community access road. I was under assault on my own soil. By early summer, I'd nearly pushed the HOA drama aside when their glossy newsletter landed. Its headline trumpeted, "Summer Celebration, a community barbecue extravaganza." A map pinpointed the event on my rear pasture, my land. Fine print thanked county commissioners for securing temporary use of the adjacent scenic property. They'd claimed my most breathtaking 3 acres, spring included. A certified letter followed, signed by Eleanor, announcing my pasture was temporarily requisitioned under a supposed county ordinance. I called my lawyer, Sam Carter, a trusted ally for decades. "They can't do this, Henry," he said. "It's private property. No such ordinance exists. It's either error or fraud." He sent cease and desist letters, but the HOA brushed them off. Meanwhile, they sold tickets, $75 per person, $125 per couple, for an authentic ranch experience on my land, flaunting photos of my spring and herd. They planned to serve bison burgers within eyeshot of my animals. The callousness floored me. I filed a complaint at the county office. The clerk murmured, "Mrs. Harrington's husband golfs with Commissioner Ellis every Sunday. Nothing will move before July 15th. That was the gala date. I posted no trespassing signs. They were swapped for event parking arrows. 2 weeks before the gala, I woke to the rumble of diesel engines. Trucks clogged my access road, workers in Whispering Meadows polos staking my pasture for tents and a stage. I confronted the foreman. "This is private property. You're trespassing." He shrugged. "Talk to the lady in charge." There stood Eleanor, in white linen pants, directing the setup like a warlord. I told her it was illegal. She scoffed. The county granted provisional approval. "Progress rolls on, Mr. Caldwell, whether relics like you keep up or not." They even strung a banner. "Authentic bison burgers, a taste of the Wild West, facing my herd." I called the sheriff, but they called it a civil matter. Eleanor grinned. "Sheriff Dawson has VIP tickets. His campaign got a hefty donation from us." That evening, I sat on my porch with Mike Turner, my ranch hand of 15 years, a Vietnam vet with steadfast loyalty. "We could skip town for the weekend," he offered. "Let 'em have their party, then sue." I shook my head. "If we leave, we're yielding. This is about my rights." We devised a plan, using portable fencing to guide the herd through a natural corridor to their setup area. At midnight, Tom knocked. "They're expecting over 300 people. Eleanor hired off-duty bouncers to handle you. She's calling it her crowning triumph." He handed me their schedule. Bison burgers at 12:30, post-speech. Saturday morning, luxury cars lined my road. Guests in designer attire strutted across my pasture, snapping selfies with my bison, blind to the irony. Caterers set up by the spring, grills roaring, the bison burger station ready. Eleanor, in a floral dress, took the stage at 11 a.m. "Welcome to our first annual summer celebration. This landscape is our shared heritage." I stepped forward. "This is private property. You're trespassing. End this event." She laughed. "Get off my stage before security hauls you away." I signaled Mike. He opened the fencing, clearing a path for the herd. Moments later, Storm appeared atop a rise. 2,000 pounds of raw majesty, trailed by 12 bison. The crowd froze as they advanced. Eleanor screeched, "Security, stop those beasts!" The guards retreated. The chef fled the burger station. Storm sniffed the meat, then lumbered toward the stage. Eleanor bolted, shrieking about lawsuits, her husband stumbling in the mud. The herd raided the buffet, shattering fine china. Guests scattered, abandoning designer bags. I watched from my porch, justice in motion. Sheriff Dawson arrived 20 minutes later. Eleanor demanded my arrest. "He unleashed wild animals. It's attempted murder." The sheriff glanced at Storm, now grazing on fruit. "They look tame to me. This is Mr. Caldwell's land." Tom spoke up. The HOA had no permission. I checked. No permit issued. A retired judge added, their county stamp was forged. The commissioner admitted no authorization existed. The sheriff faced Eleanor. You're trespassing. Leave, or Mr. Caldwell can press charges for trespassing, property damage, and fraud. She hissed, this isn't over, but slunk away. That night, the HOA ousted Eleanor as president. Within a week, they sent an apology and a check for damages, restoring my fence line. The commissioner secured new protections for my land, confessing, I lost sight of the folks who've anchored this county. A magazine feature, Last Stand at Caldwell Ranch, went viral, spotlighting rural land battles. Eleanor and her husband sold their home and fled back to Connecticut. The new HOA board invited me to shape a heritage initiative honoring the area's roots. Now, I rise with the dawn, tend my herd, and know my land is mine. Storm still stirs at the scent of BBQ, a nod to the day he showed everyone who owns this earth. Let them host their galas. I'll guard my pasture, where true freedom reigns.